Hi, favored ones. Welcome to Soul Talk. Our guest for today is Anne Ordoña. Ganun. Natawa ako kasi I'm so used to calling her, using her nickname. So calling her Anne right now, parang sabi ko, okay, I know it's Anne, but then I'm so used to the other name. But for the sake of this talk, let's use Anne.
Yes.
All right. So
Mhm.
Anne is here with us. She was my college friend. So back
Mm.
in Ateneo days. Right
Mm.
now, she's the general manager of Infinite Care. Later, I'll let her explain what the company is all about. She's also an educator and she's also a business owner. And she's here with us to share her story, her journey. And I hope that you'd also find value in
Mm.
whatever it is that whatever wisdom that she has to share during this time. So let's all welcome Anne. Hi Anne, kumusta ka?
Hello. So I'm going to say the same thing. I'm used to calling you Brendy, but maybe I should call you Michelle for the complete one. Michelle Brendy. Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you. It's been such a long time
Oo.
since we have really talked.
Mm.
And college was, my gosh,
A
how
few
many
years
years
ago.
ago?
Let's a few years ago. In
Parang
denial.
nagbibilang na eh. Ilan, ilan, ano na ba? Ayoko na. O sige, okay lang.
Oo.
Wag na natin ibilang. Basta
Oo.
ako happy ako with my age. I'm sure
Oo.
Anne is also happy with
Same.
where she
Embrace
is
your
right
age.
now. Yes, and the
Mhm.
journey that, both
Mm.
of us have gone through, whether
Mm.
together or a different path. So, kumusta Anne? How do I say this? What's keeping you busy right now? Could you talk
Yeah.
more about Infinite Care?
Right. No, so I am the general manager of Infinite Care. It's a mental health startup that we started a few weeks before the pandemic. As in born March 2020. Our vision was just to really help people who go through mental health challenges. We started as a tele consulting service, partnering with companies so that their employees can get mental health support. So basically, we connected the individuals to the counselors and psychologists. That's how we started. But since we started it, we've grown to be a more comprehensive mental health platform. So we have an app now which has content, a chat helpline, a mood checker, and then we partner with organizations in educating and building awareness about mental health, really normalizing the conversation of mental health in the workplace. Why the workplace? Because we spend so much time in the work, right? And causes a lot of stress, etc. And if we are not mentally well, we're not able to contribute well in the work. So we felt that that's the first place to go to in order to provide the support. And then we help the employers, the leaders, the HR, because mental health is a new space for many. Like they themselves are going through something and then they're expected to also support their employees. So we do consulting, we do training, we provide guidance on how to craft their mental health program. So at Infinite Care, I'm responsible for business development, partnerships, um, the day-to-day operations, meeting with clients, listening to what they need, and then working with them on crafting the program. So I would say 70% of my time is spent doing that, right? And then you mentioned I'm also an educator. So I teach business in the IB program here in Cebu. Yeah, so by the way, I'm based in Cebu. So I teach business to grade 11 and grade 12 pupils. It keeps me young. So that's why it feels like, if every day you talk to 18-year-olds, you also feel like you're an 18-year-old. So I teach business in the mornings. And then I also help out my husband with our small business ventures there. That's what keeps me busy. Apart from taking care of two young kids. Yan.
Pero, how is it like? Kasi right now, di ba, parang you mentioned that Infinite Care was born a few days before lockdown. But then you yourself, of course, you're experiencing work from home. Were you
Mm.
able to adjust quickly given that your nature of work revolves around mental health in the workplace? And then all of a sudden, we're all forced to stay at home doing
Oo.
our work there. Tapos, at the same time, taking care of the families, ano rin, families'
Ah,
needs.
mm.
Parang,
How
was
did
it
I
a
adjust?
smooth transition for you?
So I'm one of the few people where it was smooth because I've been doing work remotely since end of 2015. Okay. So
Easy.
yes, so I've been working remotely since then. So I used to live in Singapore for almost 8 years when I was still connected with a big consumer goods company. And then when I returned, it was to start a mobile marketing company, which was also a startup then. But it was remote in the sense that we were working na in a co-working space. And then my team, the rest of the team were based in Hong Kong or Dublin in Ireland. So I was used to doing my life in calls, video calls, yan. I had a Zoom account since 2017. Ganyan. So so
Not
parang
something new, kung ganon.
pioneer. So that's why parang these are things like I'm used to the tools that we are used to now, right? Yung Zoom, my team is on Slack. I'm used to all the tools in terms of collaboration with the team because I've been in startup since 2015, end of 2015. I think it fits me as well, my nature, because as you could like, I have a portfolio of things, right? What I like about working remotely is that I'm not tied to an office, and therefore I follow my schedule how I want it to be crafted in a day. So I feel like I have more control over how I spend my time. So it was not that hard, which I think helped when I work with clients now, because you're right, work from home challenges like how to collaborate, how to be more effective in team meetings, right? Things like this all contribute to mental health, 'di ba? If in the organization, if hindi kayo malinaw on how you're going to communicate, or how are you going to signal to your boss that you're actually working and that this is something, this is getting
Yes.
done. I've been doing that since then. And so when clients ask us, so how do we do this? Of course, we have psychologists in the team who address the psychosocial and emotional aspects, but the practical aspects of it, I get to contribute to that conversation because of my own experience. Yun. So may best practices naman na natutunan ako, and it prepared me. I guess it prepared me better for what happened since 2020.
Amazing, ah, that since 2015, you're already in the startup scene. How
Yes.
different is it from working at corporate?
Super different because one, um, the number of people in a team is definitely smaller, right?
Yes.
So prior to Infinite Care, my previous role, I always said, like, when people ask me what I do in the company, I would say I do everything except code. Kasi that's the only thing I could not do. If the work requires, in a startup kasi, if the work requires that you do sales, business development, oh siya, sales and business development. Marketing has always been one of the roles that is passed on to me because that's what I was trained for. So I'm a manager. So you and I, we were both graduated from management, and then my work in the corporate world was really marketing management. So that I always wear that hat. But I've been doing HR work, pati yung 'di ba, yung mag-interview, gumawa ng contract para sa applicant, pati yung pag-onboard sa kanila, yan, ginagawa ko yan. Team building, gagawin ko sa HR work. Even some element of finance, 'di ba, coming up with the financial part, gagawin ko rin yan. So, jack of all trades, which I used to think in the past was not a good thing. So, I have always thought na, when you're a generalist, it's going to be, you're not gonna have an edge in the world of work. So I specialized in marketing. So like at least 12 years. The first 12 years of my career was really super specialized. Like it was really just brand management. But ever since I saw myself, I get attracted to different tasks. Parang na, uy, gusto ko rin gawin yan pero hindi yan ginagawa ng marketeer. Ganyan. So I think that prepared me to also enjoy the startup world where you are expected to do work that may not be within a specific job description. I always say, like whatever work is required, you do it in the beginning. At least when you are still testing out your concept, your product, and trying to see whether there is viability in the market. At that point, you have to be experimental. You have to be quite flexible and adapt to what is required. So, yun, parang ganyan
So
ang
basically
aking.
talaga pag startup, you're doing everything. And it's not just testing the market, but also taking care of the business itself.
Right. Kasi there's only a few of you, right? Although there will be, like in our case, no, just going back to Infinite Care as a startup, we do have specialists in the team because we have a tech we have a tech product. So we do have software engineers, and because it's mental health, we do have psychologists in the team. But everyone else need to be a little bit more flexible, right? And adapt because we were testing business models. Like when we made that decision to go business to business ba or business to consumer, like direct to the individual that we provide the service, that would require different functions, right,
Yeah.
in the team. Kasi if it's more individual, you'd probably do more marketing type of work where you really generate a lot of awareness and make sure that people know what your product is, and then and then you do channels like Facebook, YouTube, yun yung usual pag B2C. Pero pag B2B, that would mean that you need to have business development, partnerships, negotiate, which would require again a different approach. So I guess I enjoy that kind of work because I'm that kind of person where I enjoy different things. So it helps na medyo ganyan din yung personality ko. And that's my interest is broader than usual, no? So yun.
Parang it seems like you were kind of prepared little by little towards the roles that you're getting
Mm-mm.
in the path, the
Mm.
career path that you have chosen.
Mm.
Parang unti-unti prepare ka for the roles that comes
Mm.
your way.
Mm. I think of course ano 'di ba? Hindsight vision is 2020. Parang in hindsight, oo nga, it seems like I prepared for it. But I think years ago, I did not know that I will land here. So, but I think what got me here, so the first company I joined, which is Unilever, I was doing brand management work. But then, when I did the regional brand development work, we were doing less of marketing in the traditional sense, like advertising, communication, media. I was doing more business development work within the brand. Parang, for example, let's say we will launch a new product, no, in a white space or in new market. That would require that I work with cross-functional teams, supply chain, finance, product development, ganyan. So para kang project leader, yes, but in hindsight, para kang venture builder. You're really building a venture from scratch. Obviously, with the resources of a big corporation, the people in a big corporation, and the finances of a big corporation, but the skills, they're actually the same in that sense. So that was one learning I got na parang, what I was doing then was really orchestrating a business or project within the small confines of a brand, di ba? Na less risky. Nung nilagay na ako sa startup world, parang ganun din naman. Para ka nag-orchestrate ng, ilo-launch natin tong tech product natin, and how do we make sure that it gets successful in the market. So it's the same principles that got transferred, I think. The difference lang is you have fewer resources. You need to be more creative when it comes to your approach, and you need to do the work yourself. Wala akong team under me. So you need to do the work yourself until such a time that you can actually afford to build the team.
Amazing. Parang ano, ang ganda ng comparison mo of what your work really is. Kasi parang I wouldn't have thought na parang you were still doing the same kind of work back when we were in corporate versus your work right now. It's just that you're in a different situation, different resources, different set of environment, but then basically the function, it's still the same.
Yeah. I think ang difference lang din, and that's why I really appreciated my own journey in the corporate and what lessons I've learned there. But what I really enjoy about startups, working in a startup, is that and I will quote one of my previous bosses, parang the distance between the time that a decision is made and when it gets implemented and seen in the market is super short in the startup world. Kasi in the corporate, right, let's say you decide that we will launch this new product because it's risky for the business, diba? If you just immediately launch, there's so much market research, you have to test, then you have to convince your stakeholders, and then you have to work with multiple teams. And if you are doing this for multiple markets, you have to multiply it by 4 or 5 markets that you need to do it. Therefore, the speed when you do an innovation in the corporate world at that time would take you 1 to 2 years just to see the idea to landing in the market. That's just phase 1, right? And then once it gets launched, you then have to monitor whether it's going to survive and grow and thrive, whatever you launched into the market. So startup, like in the work that we do, for example, today, naisip namin that we need to do a feature in the app. So we don't aim for perfect, right? We don't aim for perfect. We try to just, okay, what would be the simplest, easiest way to test this idea, and testing it in the real world na. So you do a small pilot and then check. So the following week, pwede nang nagpa-pilot na kayo. Tapos, you get the feedback right away if it works or it doesn't. And if it doesn't, okay, then let's move on to the next one. And if it does, then okay, let's put more effort. So I enjoy the speed because it's the distance between the idea and getting it done is actually shorter. And it's more exhilarating, I think. It keeps you on your toes. Yeah.
Oo. Parang the way you would talk about your work, it seems like everything has a flow. It's very structured. Parang you do one thing, you know what's the next step, what's the next step. How does it affect your personal life? That if you, di ba, parang if you think that way, na parang, oh, dapat ganito, and then next ganito, tapos ganito, ganito. Pero sa personal life, ganun ka rin ba talaga? I mean, when you deal with relationships, or
ganyan talaga ako. I plan everything in life. So hindi lahat ng startup people ganito. I plan everything. So my most favorite app in the world is the calendar, and both the digital and the planner. Like I'm even holding my planner at the moment. So
it's a big planner.
It's a big planner. So I think that you have to have a routine. That's one. So how am I in my personal life? Because I'm juggling multiple things. So there is a schedule. There is a schedule for everything. Not naman that I'm rigid, but it's like time boxing what needs to be done. So for example, I already know when my classes are, right? So because my classes are there, so therefore my team at Infinit Care knows that I will not hold meetings. I will not meet clients during that period when I am in class. And then I plan ahead what are the important things so that it gets incorporated in the calendar na, no? Even the personal ones. So for example, this week, no, merong, so my daughter wanted to do an interview for me for her science class. O di we did it after dinner. So yung mga ganyan. So naka-schedule siya para when I'm in there, I'm present. So it's not like even if I'm doing 3 things that magulo siya sa utak ko, hindi siya ganun. That's not how I work. So parang kunyari Monday, it's Infinite Care Day. Edi it's Infinite Care Day. That's what I do. Naka-time box yung mga mga projects, activities, tasks para if and it's also according to priorities. Tas pag hindi siya pasok, ay hindi siya pasok. Ganun lang yun. Hindi ko siya magagawa.
How often do you tweak your calendar?
Weekly. So, for me, I don't know where I got it, but that's why, di ba, may life tip. I enjoy I enjoy planners na pang 1 week yung page. And my view in my calendar is the week. Because planning by the day for me is too short because you will probably be how do you say? You'll probably a slave to the urgent, the request, ganyan. And then your to-do list is really, okay, what do I need to finish today? Pero baka mangarag ka kasi you still have to do stuff for tomorrow and Wednesday and Thursday. So I don't plan it by the day. I plan it by the week because parang it's like, by Friday, how would I know that I'll feel good about the weekend? Yon. That's how I plan my life. So parang, by Friday, what are the most important things that should be done by then? Para, when I plan it during the week, hindi rin nakabuhos, like, lahat na sa Monday. Lahat, di ba? Parang, yun yung tendency for most people na parang Monday is really the most busy day kasi you're reacting to your to-do, pero mauubos yung energy mo. So, what I normally do, if there are important tasks, nakaspread siya during the week para hindi too many important tasks in a day, meron pa akong energy for the rest of the week. Yan, week. Pag month naman, masyado naman mahaba yun. Parang hindi ka na maka-adjust.
Yes.
Hindi ka na
I love your style. That's something that I'll incorporate into my intention setting. Amazing. Okay. Something new that I picked up. Tama nga naman. If it's on a daily basis, parang mangangarag ka kasi you're frequently trying to catch up on the to-do list, which is endless. Really endless. But then, right, if you look at it from a weekly point of view, you could spread it out. So it's not too much heavy lifting. So to speak. Ganyan. Hindi siya masyado mag-cut. Amazing. You learned a lot from your experiences.
No, I learned it that so partly because mahilig lang talaga ako magplan. But like for example, when I did my MBA, for example, I did it at a time, it was part-time, so I still had work. And my daughter was just 2 years old, I think. So I was really forced to be efficient with my time. If not, mabubuwang ako. So, because you're forced to be efficient, you tend to really devote your energy on the things that matter, but you put spaces in between para the urgent and, what comes up, you can still address. So I think I started developing the system when I had to really do multiple things. Like even back then, so people close to me will know na hindi talaga pwedeng isa lang yung ginagawa ko. So even during that time, and that was more than 10 years ago, exactly 10 years ago when I did my MBA, parang I had a full-time job, I had classes, I had a kid, nag-volunteer pa ako, may volunteer work. So, ano tawag doon, Michelle? Aligaga. Maraming ginagawa. Yun.
I love people who do a lot of things and who are really efficient doing a lot of things. It really amazes me, the capacity of such an individual. Kasi it's a gift. It's also a skill that we can also learn
Mm,
talaga.
yeah. So yeah, I think my backup career, backup plan kung sakali man executive assistant. I can help plan people's lives, I think. That's what I can do
Oh,
best. Oo.
pero on
Mm.
hindsight, for people who are really good planners, for you to be able to make really good decisions or, choices, it means that you really know what to prioritize, you know what's important.
Mm.
And yung priority and the level of importance, it's really dependent on you.
Mm.
How you view things, how you parang your values comes out when you make
Mm.
those kinds of decisions.
Mm.
So
Mm.
parang during that time, kilalang kilala mo na yung sarili mo if you're able to really plan your life in such a very efficient and effective way.
Mm. The flip side there is if you're driven so much by efficiency, and this is what I learned in the pandemic. Yeah. We are now living in uncertain times, and you can't plan your way in so much uncertainty. So going back to your earlier question, how did I adjust? It wasn't the remote work that threw me off. It was the, gosh, I love planning. But then how do you plan for things when you don't even know what's gonna happen next? So that was my challenge. What caused my anxiety? Like for example, I used to be able to plan for, okay, for this week, on Saturday we will go out. I love food, so I will plan kung anong kakainin namin. Pero ngayon, parang it feels like, gosh, parang nasa bahay lang ako 24/7. So even when I was doing remote work before, it did not mean that I was stuck in the home the whole time. That's the difference naman eh. Like remote work does not mean necessarily that you're just in one place um forever. It means that you can just dictate where you can work, 'di ba? And ang challenge ko in the pandemic was really, how do I plan my way around so much uncertainty? Like even if you our business, for example, our family business, which was also collaboration with a few close friends, a restaurant business. Hindi namin na foresee gaano katagal yung ECQ, GCQ, MECQ eh. So 30% capacity, 50% capacity, mga ganyan. So parang it was so hard. So that naman is the flip side. If you're a planner, tapos it's such uncertain, there's so much uncertainty, how do you navigate your way around that?
Pero how were you able to deal with it?
So first, I had to have a breakdown. I mean, 'di ba?
The usual thing, kailangan
Hashtag
mo na
real talk.
mauga-uga at
Oo.
matroma bago ka
Matroma muna,
matuto.
mapagod muna. 'Di ba? Mapagod muna bago magising. How did I deal with it? I think parang I guess for tasks, etc., you can plan for it. Like in my case, it's a week, right? But yung emotions mo, yung how your moods, it's a day at a time.
Yeah, that's
Like
true.
you don't, 'di ba? Parang from a task perspective, you can do it that way on a week basis, pero yung okay, today I'm not feeling okay, then you have to accept that you're not feeling okay today and maybe tomorrow will be better. So that I had to learn to accept na day to day you have to embrace what your moods, your feelings and emotions are. And I guess it helps that I'm in a mental health company.
Yes.
I have access to all of so we work with counselors, we work with psychologists who talk about how to take care of yourself during this time. And I'm privileged because I get to hear that message on a daily basis from the work that we do. So I kind of had to also walk the talk, right? So over time, I learned the lessons from the work that we do, and then I had to apply it in my own life, or else hindi talaga, it will be hard to navigate such uncertainty, right? Yon. So I think The short answer is learning that it's okay when you're not okay and taking it a day at a time.
Do you let your feelings parang stop you from being functional in your work? Did it came to that point? Kasi for some people, 'di ba, when the emotions are running so high, like if they're so anxious, it's really hard for them to function well at work and to finish the task even if those tasks are simple. Parang umabot ka rin ba sa gano'n na point? Or you were really disciplined enough that hindi, parang work pa rin. But then, but still accepting na, okay, I'm feeling this way, but I need to finish this. But I
Nasa
don't know.
gitna,
How
nasa
are
gitna
people?
ako. Nasa gitna ako. Ganito. I know, so I think I have good self-awareness. So I can I was able to catch myself feeling already that for example, burnout, no? Yung nararamdaman mo nang naburnout ka because you're not taking care of yourself well, right? Because in the work, you sleep less, etc. So when I feel like I'm going in that direction, the most recent example was I had to tell our CEO and say na, I'm not okay. But Wednesday pa lang, ang layo pa ng Friday. Ganito yung conversation. I'm not okay. I can feel it in my bones that I'm tired and I'm just really powering through because there are things that need to be done, right? And I'm sure people can relate to that. Tapos sabi ko, but I will break down if I don't get the rest that I need. So can I take Monday off? So plinano ko, so 'di ba? Pati yung ano ko, breakdown ko naka-schedule. But can I take Monday off because I cannot function anymore. So I will continue because there's that sense of responsibility. I guess yes, you're anxious, yes, you're worried, yes, you're stressed, but I will continue. But I know that I need that rest and I should schedule that as soon as possible. If not, I know I will not get past this. So yon, that's how I balance it. Parang I know
Oh,
that there's a short-term solution which is to take a break, and that has been helpful for me actually. Yung you really just need to power down for a couple of days, right? So I said, that's a favorite kong day to power down. I don't know, Monday. Kasi parang Monday has a psychological effect, 'di ba? Parang paggising mo Monday, gano'n. So, I like scheduling my leaves on Mondays kasi it makes me feel good na mag-extend ka ng weekend tapos hindi ka Monday nag-start. I don't know. Parang, but that's how I do it. I give in. I give in to the need
it's good you
to
have a healthy sense of self-awareness. Kasi a lot of people don't, and they just, slug it, parang just wing it, tapos slug through life. Pero with you, you know that, okay, I need to slow down
Oo.
somewhat.
And I think I'm fortunate because obviously, since I'm in a mental health company, we have to walk the talk, right? What we tell our partners, our clients, that you need to be able to tell people that you will be absent because you need rest, because you need it's not normal to talk that way, right? We always just say, I'm gonna take a leave because I'm not feeling well. But to say that I'm not feeling well because I'm going through something takes a lot of courage. So we try to practice that. But I think even if hindi kami mental health company, because these are the colleagues that I've worked with in the past, we've we've been like that before too. Like you have to really be openly talking about it, or else your teammates and colleagues won't also know how to help you, right? So there's a way, like for example, hindi kailangan, for example, na papunta na akong burnout, let's say. There were instances in the past where nilalagyan ko ng measurement yung energy level ko. Kunyari sasabihin ko, alam mo, ano ako today, 50% lang ako today. Sasabihin ko siya sa mga colleagues ko. So, sasabihin ko na, I'm 50% today and I will attend to the most important meetings, 2 or 3 meetings that's very important, that needs my presence. But the rest, can someone take over? Or can this be delayed instead of this due today? Can this be in the next couple of days? How important is this that I need to attend to it? We need to normalize these types of conversations, or else we put it on ourselves to just slug it through, diba? I think
Pero
that's the
amazing that coming from the corporate setting, you're openly talking about taking a break, taking a rest, openly saying na 50% lang ang bat ko ngayon.
mm,
Not everyone can be courageous enough to really talk about it.
yeah.
But coming from corporate and you have that kind of mindset, medyo kakaiba. Is that the culture sa corporation niyo before with I mean the company culture is it very encouraging in the mental health care?
So our current company culture at Infinite Care is that. But I think it came from the leaders themselves. So our CEO and myself, we've gone through our own mental health challenges. And we have to model it so others will also do it, right? So I think it works in organizations where leaders model it. Because if the leaders are seen to work through even in a crisis mode, tapos burnout na lang ang kinalabasan, people will feel like they don't have permission to rest too, right? So I think it wasn't always that way. 'Di ba ganun naman? Natuto ka muna. Natuto ka muna. Na-burnout ka muna, napagod ka muna, tapos you realize that something has to change. So when we started this new team last year, we said, what are the things that we'd like to keep in terms of culture and what do we not want to have? I think that's a good thing when you are the ones leading the team and then you really are in the position to direct how your culture will be like, right? I think mas mahirap siya pag meron ng existing culture where
Yes,
rest
true.
is not talked about openly, ganyan. Kami kasi, from day one, we said we will be like that. Because, kasi, experience namin dati, yung mga boss namin na toxic, ang nag-cause ng burnout namin, di ba? So, ayaw namin maging toxic boss. So, yun lang naman. That's how it started, I think. That's how it started. And then, you find,
The term, toxic boss.
oh, di ba? Let's be real. That's how people really get tired in the corporate world. It's toxic bosses, toxic environments. And so when you're given the opportunity to start a team from scratch, to start a company from scratch, like in a startup, I think this is something that startup founders don't consider so much. Like the focus is our product, our business, ganyan. Pero I think equal importance, if not more, is what kind of culture would you like to create for your company? How would
Yes.
you, di ba? Important siya eh. And I think many of us do it as an afterthought. Hindi siya deliberate. It's an afterthought. And usually triggered pag may crisis na. yun yung stress na lahat ng tao, tapos nag-quit na, may high turnover na. That's when we try to, what is wrong with our culture? Versus being deliberate about it. Really putting in mechanisms, structures in place so that people feel that it's safe to be not okay and where it's okay to be human in the workplace. Right? Ngayon ko lang din yan na-articulate. Pero,
Parang it's but while you're talking about it, parang the term that entered my mind was conscious leadership. You're very conscious and very conscious as to what kind of leaders you'd want to be and what kind of culture you'd like to espouse in the organization. And that's a good beginning rather than tama ka, parang nagka-problema na sa gitna, di ba? Tapos biglang mag-change, transition dapat, ganyan. It's harder compared to starting it right from the beginning.
Yeah, and I had a brief return to big corporate 2 years ago. And obviously, I don't have power over the culture of the entire organization. But since I was leading a department and I had about 6-8 people under me, right? I knew I could influence our team culture. Doesn't have to be company culture. So if you're a leader, you can set new things. So nung una, new ako na boss, pero sila nandun na, di ba? Una, nagugulat sila, bakit itong si Miss Anne ay gustong tinatanong ako every Monday, how you're feeling? Parang weird naman ng boss na to. How are you feeling? But nasanay sila. Diba? Kasi we forget that we should be humans in the work, and we should really treat people as people. So I asked them in the Monday morning, good morning, how are you feeling today? Parang, huh? Weird naman ng boss na to. As in ganon, nung first few weeks ko. Tapos eventually, Miss, di pa ba tayo they called it my positive meeting. Yung team meeting naman talaga siya. But I asked them kasi, what positive thing happened to you over the weekend? Miss, hindi pa ba magpa-positive meeting? May ganun sila. And that was in a big company, which I worked briefly then 2 years ago. So you can, if you are in a position where you can influence the culture, be it a small team or an organization, I think it starts with the leader for it to happen. Then you model it, and over time, you'd like even when those people leave the organization and move to their other teams, you hope that they will also be like that to their colleagues.
Anne, kasi it's not always naman that, you'd have leadership roles in an organization or in a team. Pero for people who doesn't hold any such position, how can they also practice it?
It's harder when you don't have but I think I believe na leadership naman does not come from a position, right? So for example, parang if you're just an individual contributor in your organization, but you'd want to be openly talking about stress levels, etc., even when your colleague, for example, kunyari lang let's say you have a task and you need to turn it over to your colleague, right? And something is stopping you from completing it, maybe kasi may pinagdadaanan ka or what, openly talk about it with your colleague and say, hey, I know we agreed that I should be working on this, but you know what? Currently, this is what's happening at the moment. Start practicing. Kasi I think nahihiya tayo. Part ba yan ng Filipino culture? We don't say it. So, nahihirapan ako because, I had this personal experience and I think I need more time to complete this. Is that okay? And then, siguro yung unang reaction is negative. I don't know. Parang nagugulat. But you have to start doing it, or else and if they don't respect that, maybe that's also not the right culture and organization for you. Diba? That's my belief, right? You have to learn to do it that way, to openly talk and to discuss it with even your peers, even within a team.
That takes a lot of strength, no, to openly.
Mahirap talaga siya, and it takes practice. And I wasn't always that way too, 'di ba? Parang when I was younger, especially if you're still trying to prove yourself, syempre you're gonna work hard, work long hours, etc. But what I see now, at least in the clients that we work with, the younger generation are more open, I think, also.
Yeah, definitely.
They also say they draw boundaries better than us, I think. So I think that's important. That's healthy to do.
Actually, I've heard a lot of people our age and those who are older who would, label the younger generation as selfish. Parang lalo na in a setting where you work with teams, parang the mindset is that you cannot be selfish all the time. But then when I look at it, hindi naman selfish. They're just drawing the boundaries of what's really acceptable for them or not. So parang sabi ko, lakas na loob. As in, pero in a way that I admire it.
Right. And I think if hindi pa ganyan yung culture in your company or in the organization that we work with, you can start. And you'd see some people will respond to you in a positive way. And maybe they will realize na, pwede naman palang ganyan, without compromising on results, without compromising on your performance. you can draw the line, you can draw boundaries, and then baka magka-ripple effect, di ba? Malalaman, like, and then the boss can see it and it's still okay. If, for example, even in the team that you work with and that's not received positively, it's also a good time to rethink whether that's the right culture. Kasi it's very important that you have a healthy work environment in order to in order to thrive and contribute well to the business. So, yeah, yan ang paniniwala ko.
Parang yung life mo talagang tied sa business setting.
Oo. Oo. Yeah. That's how it is.
Pero that's how you got to know who you really are within those settings.
Mm-mm. Yeah, and it's interesting because I also believe in work-life integration, right? So, di siya balance, work-life integration. And interesting, like for example, in my other life as an educator, I tell my students na what makes me an effective teacher of business is because I'm in the business world and I bring my experience. But I tell my team in the company that I'm a good leader because I'm a teacher. I educate. So I think you bring your experiences in other parts of your life to your work, and that makes it more fulfilling, I think. So kaya parang I don't see that I'm doing multiple things. I only have to explain it because when people ask me what I do, I'm forced to say what it is. But I actually feel like that this is how my life is usually. There's just multiple parts to it, but it's just one life. Hindi ko naman siya kino-compartmentalize. So my students know that I have work. There was this one instance, sorry magkukwento ako. There was this one instance I was in the middle of teaching, I think some finance class. Hindi ko na mala. Sources of revenue, parang ganyan. That was my class lesson. Tapos, we were supposed to run a webinar at Infinit Care, and our host, who was our head of clinical care or psychologist, she was stuck in another meeting. Tapos, walang makaka-host ng webinar namin. So, one of our colleagues, nag-SOS siya sa group chat na parang, guys, wala pa rin yung host. So, and then I read it. Like, I don't know. I usually turn off naman all my other notifications. But for some reason that day, while I was teaching in class, I saw the notification, wala pa rin host. Tapos sabi ko, class, I'm sorry. I think someone needs to run our event and no one is there. Do you mind if we end the class early and I go there? And you know what? The speaker is gonna talk about mental health and self-care. You wanna join me in that instead? That's your class for the day. Hindi na po finance, mental health na ang class natin. And they were like, sure, teacher. So I just sent them the link. Sabi ko, let's go na kasi the work needs to be done. So I stepped up, and then yun yung nakakatuwa pag remote, di ba? Kasi hindi ka naman literal magda-drive to another place. You just need to click another link. yun eh. So, click another link, work mode. Welcome to our webinar. Tapos yung mga students ko nandun din. Parang nakakatawa kami. So, I don't know why I told that story. Ano nga ba yung trigger? But I was just gonna say integration ba? I think that was what I was saying.
Yeah.
And then...
Pero in this time talaga, it really happens eh.
It happens, di ba? Kailangan eh. Kailangan, tech issues, may mga ganyan. So, hindi siya makalog. Parang ganyan eh. So, okay, I'll do it. And then, the following day, when I came back to class, I said, oh, so thank you for the last minute change. And then I told them, what did you learn? Did you learn anything from that? And they were like, wow, we never thought that people in the HR world, kasi audience ng webinar were HR people that human resource people are feeling this way, and that these are their sources of stress. And we even learn from the tips of the speaker on how to manage your stress, even if we're students. So parang sabi ko, oh, at least I hit two birds with one stone. I was able to help out, and then I was able to, it was anong tawag dyan, unintentional, pero nagkaroon sila ng new lesson bigla, di ba, na hindi financial ratios. So, yun, nakakatuwa. So,
Parang I love so far what you have been sharing. Pero where do you find your energy to do all of these? Parang do you feel that this is really what you're really meant to do in life to help people? Kasi right now your area of focus is really mental health. Would you feel that this is part of your purpose?
yeah, I didn't know that I'll be an advocate for mental health, no. When we started it, it was our founder and our CEO who were the advocates of mental health. And I was brought in because of my experience in launching innovations and starting things. It was my startup experience that got me there first, right? But when we were looking at the opportunity spaces on where, because our vision was, how do we solve real world problems with technology? That was the starting point. We were looking at different spaces. Mental health was one of them. And after a series of conversations and planning, etc., we said we will try to do something in the mental health space. That was the only time I really got to know the space on mental health. Do I see myself doing mental health in the long term? I think now, because of what I know about mental health, it is something very important in any organization anyway. But I think what my passion is really all about leading teams, building things from scratch, leadership. So I think what will happen is I would love to see our company grow and scale. And maybe I'll transition into a more leadership role, coaching people, etc. Because I think it's a good intersection of teaching and leading, right? So I'll probably go in that direction. So far, yan yung nakikita ko saan papunta. And if you can see how I've reached this point, baka iba yung path, but I'm actually very open to wherever I may land. I'm very comfortable with right now, very comfortable with landing in a different space. Kasi yung journey ko naman, consumer goods, tapos yung first tech company that I was I ran in the Philippines was mobile marketing. Yung yun, yung text para manalo ka ng raffle. Kasi ganun, yung technology, very different. Tapos I went into a different startup on leadership development and personal development na medyo related din pala sa mental health. So I'm okay to be led where I need to be led to. But my passion is teaching, leadership, building teams from scratch. Yon.
I think parang you really adapt well. Because you adapt well wherever you're placed.
Mm-mm.
And using the resources that you have. So yung skill set mo, laging nagagamit, kahit saan ka ilagay.
Nagagamit naman talaga yung skill set, diba? Kahit anong skills pa yan. I believe kasi that it's transferable. So, even when I applied for jobs in the past, parang dati kasi, syempre, when you start from corporate, parang, okay, I'm a brand manager. Therefore, the next role, I should look for a senior brand manager. Therefore, yung next is brand director. Di ba ganon? That's the path in corporate.
Yes.
Oo. Pero now, my principle is, okay, what am I passionate about? What did I like about my previous job that I want to do in my next job? And when I shifted from Unilever to the tech world, it was, I enjoyed doing innovation work. I enjoyed startup work. But I did not like how it took so long kasi ang laki namin. And
Yes.
it's ganun lang naman talaga. That's how it
Oo.
is when it's a bigger company. So, can I do that in a smaller setting? And then yun, nagsimula doon. Tapos then you recognize na may mga skills ka pala. So for example, I did not know that I'll be an effective salesperson kasi hindi naman yan yung inaral ko, di ba? Pero wala kasi ibang gagawa sa startup. So wala ibang gagawa, right? So gagawin ko siya. And then I realized the reason I'm effective at it is that I'm good in connecting with other people. And it's interesting because in the mental health space, the ones that started this industry really had a mental health background, right? Mga psychological clinics, they really have backgrounds in psychology, psychotherapy, counseling. So what I noticed, and I only learned this a few months after we started Infinite Care, apparently, there was one client who gave the feedback. Like, she's met several companies like us, but I was the only one who spoke in the business and organizational leadership sense and did not talk science. And I said, because I do not know how to talk the science. I understood why it's important for organizations to look after and why and how leaders feel that they're not equipped to do it because they are not psychologists. And I spoke from that perspective. Diba? So, kaya,
Okay.
so
Amazing.
yung parang, ganun ako mag-isip. So, parang, hindi ko naman so I tell them, so, caveat, guys, ha, hindi po ako psychologist. But I know what you're going through. I know what you're feeling. I know that it's challenging to be a leader during these times. And this is why I think we can help you. And yes, we have psychologists in the team, but sila, they see that, oh, someone understands what our organization is going through. So I think that's how I approach things. Kaya medyo flexible ako kasi I'm looking at what can I apply here? Anong pwede, I'm not boxed into, ay, ito kasi title ko eh, kaya ito. Hindi ako ganun mag-isip. So,
Okay.
medyo
I love
flexible.
this. Parang you're openly asking questions.
Mm-mm.
Questions that are hard to answer. And then you're looking for the pain point. You're looking at the needs of the other person and
Mm.
then communicating how it can be addressed.
Mm.
Parang ang galing, ang galing. I
Oo.
love it.
Yeah, and siguro that was my training as a marketeer, because as a marketeer, you need to come up with, diba, what's the consumer insight? What problem are you trying to solve? How does your product best solve that problem? So that's the functional training I had. But then there's my attitude and my openness to things. Kaya nakaka-adapt. Kaya nakaka-adapt. Yun nga lang, hanggang ngayon, di ako marunong mag-code. So, sabi ko, guys, pagawa nyo na lang sa akin. Pero yan talaga, di ko pa rin kaya yan. So, dito na lang ako. I'll work with the strength that I have. These are my strengths. So, I'll channel that strength towards a project or whatever that needs to be done.
Oo. But it must have taken quite a while, or were you the type of person who already knew your strengths from the beginning? Kasi for
I think,
some other people, they really had to, experience life for them to really realize what your strengths are.
I think, same naman din. Hindi naman alam ko na. Kaya nga, I sound like I knew, pero hindi naman. Parang it's a journey, right? It's a journey. So parang, for example, parang how did I knew that I love my work in marketing, but not the entire thing. So when I was moving to a new job, I had to think about, ano nga ba yung uulitin ko dito? Uulitin ko ba yung dati? Madali din ako mabore kasi. So parang, uulitin ko ba yun? Hindi ko naman feel yun. Ba't ko uulitin? So may ganun pa akong proseso. So over time, it's this constant, I guess, activity of what gives me energy. Diba? That's what you asked me. What gives you energy? What powers you? Parang, I started asking that question more often, I think, with my life choices. And if you use that as a guiding point, then you know what opportunities to take and what not to do, right? Kasi there are things that I don't like to do anymore. So, it comes with age then experience din siguro. Pero over time, you learn what you like, what you do not like. And because you know that, it should help you decide what to do next. I think a lot of people kasi, because it's scary to do something different, you stop na lang yourself from doing it. In my case, yes, it's scary, for sure. But being analytical that I am, sinulat ko lang naman, why am I scared? Why am I excited? Eh,
Ang
naka-weigh.
ganun ka pang ano.
OA ba? OA. Why am I scared? Why am I excited? And if the excitement is outweighs the why am I scared, then go for it. Yan.
Pero I like that. At least na-measure, nakikita eh. Di ba?
Di ba nga? Ipaplano nga eh. Nakaplano nga lahat eh. So,
Okay,
oo.
that's really amazing. I'm
Mm.
learning so much from you. Kasi it's something that I admit, I
Mm.
really have to learn it right now, given that there's so many things going on.
Mm.
And there are really times when I find myself, okay, ang dami, anong uunahin? And I can, it's true when you said na, if you look at it on a daily basis, talaga marami. Pero if you
Mm.
spread it out, it
Mm.
won't be too stressful.
Mm.
Ayun. Pero thank you so much for sharing all of those.
Mm.
But before we end this
Mm.
conversation,
Mm.
ayan, um, I love the way you think. I love your attitude, your
Mm.
um yung mindset mo when it
Mm.
comes to work and knowing who you are.
Mm.
Could you give to others so that they could also have that kind of self-awareness and that kind of heart,
Mm.
to withstand or to be fortitude enough that
Mm.
that in any event of uncertainty, they
Mm.
still be okay with it.
Mm. I think it goes back to learning about yourself, right? What I'm reminded of during this conversation is the level of self-awareness I developed over the years. But there are simple things that you can do on a regular basis to get you there. Kasi trial and error pa rin naman. Actually, you
Yeah.
wouldn't know if you like it if you're not gonna try it. So, you're gonna do it, right? So, but over time, as you collect jobs, experiences, ask yourself which part of this job is giving me energy and which one is not. So that when you move on to the next adventure, or the next endeavor that you want to face, consciously naman say na, okay, I'm gonna choose this because these are the parts that I think will give me energy. Tapos, this is what I want to leave behind. Right? And then learn if that will fit. So for me, you don't have to be afraid to try new things, pero be more deliberate in the choices that you make with the lens of which aspect of what I'm doing actually gives me purpose and energy. So syempre, for example, like me now, teaching. Yes, I'm passionate about it, pero hindi ako passionate mag-check ng paper.
Oh, ganun tayo.
Nakaka-relate ka ba? 'Di ba?
Admin work of
Hindi
of
ko
teaching
kaya
is
talaga, pero kailangan. So, in any job, meron naman talagang hindi mo feel na trabaho.
mm,
Sana hindi makinig yung school president na. Pero everybody, di ba? Everybody has that part of the job that they don't like. For sure. Hindi naman lahat masaya eh. There are things that are necessary, but not necessarily fun. But remind yourself why you're doing that in the first place. Why is it that you enjoy that work? So when you are stuck in the middle of grading papers like me, I remind myself, hindi naman araw-araw nag-grade. Ngayon lang to. Or in the next 3 days lang kasi kailangan ko mag-submit ng marks. Ganon lang. Tapos, but go back to what gives you joy, what makes you happy. Tapos try as much as possible that what you put your energy on, what you put in your planner, what you actually do are the things that give you energy, 'di ba? if they don't, then they don't serve a purpose in your life. So why do it in the first place?
I love what you're saying. It's
Mm.
so talagang okay, maayos siya.
Naka-structure pa. Naka-bullet
Maayos,
points.
maayos. There's a process
Mm.
to how you think and how
Mm.
you do things.
Mm.
I like it. I'm also analytical in some sense, and
Mm.
when you're giving that process, first like,
Mm.
ang ayos ah.
Mm. Mm.
I love it. But thank you so much. Thank you so much,
Thank
Anne,
you.
for
Thank you so much for having me.
medyo nag-extend tayo ng konti. But I'm
Oo.
really so interested with your work. And it's, it's refreshing that you're very clear with what you like about your
Mm.
work. It's
Mm.
not just at the end of the day helping people in organizations to deal with their
Mm.
mental health issues that can affect the
Mm.
business. But you were able to pinpoint ano talaga yung gusto mo na role. It's the
Mm.
leadership, it's the development, the
Mm.
innovation part. So it's like,
Mm.
ang galing. It's like, okay,
Mm.
sige.
Alam ko
Be
na
like
yun yung
Anne.
gusto ko. Oo. No, alam ko yun yung gusto ko. And that also gives me like, first, I'm not, of course, I love what I do. But I'm not super attached na if something happens to it, parang masisira yung buhay. Hindi ganun. So, I guess that's why it's easy for me also to adjust. Obviously, I'll be devastated if something doesn't work out. But I go back to, wait lang, ano nga ba yung nagustuhan ko doon? And can I continue that path anyway when I make my next decision? Right? So,
Oo. This,
yan ang aking...
this gives me insight of how a leader thinks.
Next.
Knocks,
Next.
di ba? Knocks, no? Ayun. Pero
Uh-huh.
ever since naman Anne has been really a very outstanding student kahit sa
Next.
college. Oo. Parang
Natawa
one
ako
of
dun.
the outstanding students.
Mm.
So
Mm.
I am not really surprised that
Mm.
even up to now,
Mm.
you maintain that kind of level.
Mm.
But then, of
Yeah.
course, the journey is, as you've said, it wasn't easy naman rin, di ba?
Mm.
Maraming
Mm.
trial and error. So the
Mm.
same with all of us rin.
Mm.
There's trial and error in life.
Mm.
So, ayun. So, thank you so much. Kasi pag
Thank you.
nagkwento
I
pa ako
enjoy
or may
this.
sabihin pa, hahaba pa ito eh.
Oh,
But I love the way the conversation went. Alright. So, I'm back. Actually, nawalan ako ng internet. So, the recording with Anne got cut. Anyway, but thank you so much for joining my conversation with Anne, and I hope that you have gained so much wisdom from her experience and from what she have shared. Actually, for this month, the guests that I'm going to be inviting are those with strong leadership qualities. I actually call them the path makers. So I hope that you could also learn something from them, the same as we have learned from Anne. And if this is a content that you love, please share the YouTube link to your friends. All right, so remember that you're highly favored and truly blessed. I wish you all well, and take care. God bless everyone.